This is an auto-narrated audiobook by Google's computer-generated AI voices. Wolf's Christmas is Book 5 in the Brides for Beasts Wolf series by Candace Ayers and Kim Dillon.
To ensure these authors are able to bring you more free content, please support them by subscribing to this channel.
Copyright 2023 by Lovestruck Romance, all rights reserved.
Chapter 1. I rub the sleep from my eyes once again. This time my heart sinks all the way down to my fuzzy slipper-encased toes. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Snow everywhere. Not just a light dusting, but a full-blown freaking winter wonderland. Overnight. No. I chant to myself as I run from window to window, throwing back the curtains to reveal the same snowy scene from each. I can't believe this is happening. On today of all days. I'm about to have a panic attack. I can feel it. My chest feels tight. My breath is coming in short bursts and pants, so I do what I do every time I'm feeling overwhelmed. I grab my phone from the nightstand and speed dial my twin sister Kiko.
Yumi?
Kiko answers, sounding groggy.
What's up?
What's up? I blurt, my voice laced with panic. Have you looked outside? Kiko, this day is a disaster. I hear a stifled yawn before she replies.
Yumi, calm down. Lake is on his way as we speak to shovel your front walk. He'll have a path cleared for you in no time. These bear shifters can do the work of 10 non-shifter men, I swear.
That's not what has me so worked up. Today's the day I'm supposed to drive to LA to deliver Christmas gifts for Holiday Hope, and Mystic Hollow is covered in a thick, fluffy white blanket of doom.
Oh.
There's a long pause on the line, and I can picture Kiko's expression as the gravity of the situation sinks in.
Yumi, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but according to Lake, the road down the mountain is nearly impassable and probably will be for weeks.
Weeks? No. I bend over, my head between my knees, trying to level my breathing before I pass out. Where's a paper bag when you need one? I've been working on the Holiday Hope gift drive for 5 months. 5 months. I ran a GoFundMe to collect donations, scoured Amazon for the perfect gifts for each child, and traveled twice a week to the nearest Amazon delivery locker, 40 miles away I might add, to retrieve the toys, clothes, and other goodies I ordered. Mother Nature dumped a blizzard bomb on my passion project. Right now I've got an SUV outside filled with meticulously gift-wrapped personalized presents ready to be delivered to underprivileged kids. And it's buried under a mountain of snow. Weeks? Kiko, I don't have weeks. Tomorrow's Christmas. The kids. My voice cracks. I swallow hard and take a deep breath before I continue. I can't bear the thought of them not having any presents under the tree. You remember what that's like? There's a long pause before Kiko responds softly.
I remember.
My sister sighs.
Yumi, there's not much we can do about the weather. Freaking out won't help, but maybe you can try talking to Silas. He might have an idea.
She's right. Freaking out won't help the situation. I need to figure out a solution, and fast. Within minutes of ending our call, I'm tugging on my warmest sweater and digging my snow boots out of the closet. Silas is the bear shifter clan alpha, and Kate is his mate. Kate's fully human like me. The pair are known for being level-headed and resourceful. I pull on my heavy parka, mittens, hat, and scarf and head out the door, bracing myself against the cold as I trudge through the thick snow towards Silas and Kate's house. I'm a native Californian, born and raised in Los Angeles, and I've never seen snow like this. I knew it snowed in the mountains, but this? A way too chipper for a winter morning, Kate answers my knock with a warm smile.
Yumi, what brings you here so early?
With a shiver, she drags me into her small foyer and closes the door behind me. Kate, I've got a crisis on my hands, and I need the brainpower of the clan alpha and his brilliant mate to help me figure it out. Silas, seated at their breakfast bar sipping his morning coffee, raises an eyebrow.
A crisis?
Yes. I stare at him imploringly. Today's the day I'm supposed to deliver the children's gifts for my Holiday Hope drive. But the road down the mountain is covered, and I don't know how I'm going to get to the children's group home. Kate's eyes widen with understanding.
Oh, Yumi, that's terrible. I know how hard you've worked on this. Silas.
She turns to her mate.
Isn't there something you can do?
Me?
Silas sets down his coffee mug.
I appreciate your confidence in me, Kate, but what exactly is it you think I can do?
Kate chews her lip.
Maybe the Shifter Council can help.
I don't see how.
Silas rubs his forehead as he thinks.
You know the mountain pass. Miles of rarely traveled terrain now buried under 4 or 5 feet of snow. It would take days, maybe weeks, for plows to dig it out enough for a vehicle to get through.
What about flying?
Kate asks, and my jaw drops to the floor when she adds,
Maybe one of the dragon shifters would volunteer to help.
dragon shifters? Did she just say dragon? There are dragon shifters? Silas shakes his head.
It's not easy getting a dragon to agree to fly anyone anywhere. They're notoriously picky about who they'll allow on their backs.
Okay. Apparently there are dragon shifters. I push my astonishment aside and press my mittens together like I'm praying. Silas, please, just try. Talk to the council. I'll beg them if I have to. With a sigh, Silas finally relents.
Fine. I'll call.
As he heads off to make the call, Kate insists on pouring me a mug of hot cocoa to take the chill off. Silas returns a few minutes later.
No promises yet, but Councilman Von Drago is working on it.
He announces as he slides his feet into his boots. Kate scowls.
Where are you going?
Hernan, Whalen, Lake, Zandros and I are headed out to plow the field on the edge of town. If we can get air transport, we'll need a runway.
Air transport? My heart leaps with hope. Thank you, Silas. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it so much. It weighs heavily on my heart that the children are depending on me to make their Christmas merry, and I might fail. As I sip my cocoa, I stare out the front window at the mounds of glistening snow outside and can't help but wonder if a Christmas miracle is too much to ask for.
Chapter 2. No way, I say into the receiver, my tone anything but cheerful as I lean against the frost-covered window, gazing out at the bustling village of Timbercrest. The world beyond the glass is blanketed by a fresh layer of snow, and it's almost enough to distract me from this annoying phone conversation. Almost. Councilman Von Drago continues his persuasion.
Tavion, she's not a bear shifter. You know that, right? She's fully human, and she's in a tight spot.
I let out an exasperated sigh. Yeah, I get it. But she lives with the bears, which makes her one of them in my book. Von Drago doesn't give up. He's a persistent one.
Come on, Tavion, this is about the children. It's Christmas. You're a good pilot. It'll only be a few hours out of your day, and I'll reimburse you well for the inconvenience. Have a heart.
I scoff. I don't need money. We don't even use currency in Timbercrest Village, but that isn't what has me scoffing. It's his plea to have a heart. As if. My heart is a lump of coal. I exhale slowly, fogging the window with my breath before I rub it with my fist, creating a clear spot to peer through. The village is a hive of holiday activity, everyone bustling around preparing for the festivities of the season. A group of revelers decorates the massive fir tree near the village square, getting it ready for the tree lighting ceremony. Nearby, a few women are organizing the tables for the holiday crafts fair. In the mess hall, Marla's busy with the community Christmas play, and Ida's baking enough sweets to give even a wolf shifter a sugar coma. Alpha Deke has been hounding me, pun intended, to harness up in my wolf form and help give scenic sleigh rides to the human women and youngsters. That's another no way. I want no part of any of it. I can't muster an ounce of holiday spirit. Used to be, my best buddies, Asa, Deke, Zeb and I, hung out during the holiday season and had a blast joining in the merriment. This year, they're all busy with their mates. I can't blame them. I would be too. If I had a mate. I don't. Which is the real reason I've been scrooging it up. Timbercrest Village is in full-on Christmas mode. Bah humbug. I'm like a brooding Grinch sulking on the outskirts of Whoville. The holiday cheer that used to be so enjoyably welcome now feels like an intrusive nuisance as bitterness courses through me.
I know what you want.
Von Drago dangles his final carrot.
And I can pull strings to make it happen.
I'm listening, I grumble, rubbing the back of my neck.
I can reserve the next BFB female for you.
I let out a skeptical huff. Right.
You know I head the program.
He adds.
I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. I can make sure no challengers arise this time. In fact, we can avoid the fertility ceremony altogether. And all you have to do is fly Yumi to LA and back.
I may be cynical, but I'm also lonely. Plus, a flight to LA won't be terrible. It'll at least get me away from having holiday cheer relentlessly shoved down my throat for a few hours. Finally, I give in to Von Drago's endless cajoling. 90 minutes later, my plane touches down in a frozen field in Mystic Hollow. Silas, the Clan Alpha, greets me.
I can't thank you enough for doing this.
I grunt and wave him off, my sour mood unmoved. I'm not doing it for him, and I can't be bothered to play nice right now, especially not with bears, so I sit in the cockpit glaring at the snowy landscape as a group of bear shifters load boxes of wrapped presents into the plane. I don't bother to help. Why should I? And then, like a frosty gust of winter wind, a lovely vision appears. A small figure bundled in layers of winter clothing waddles toward my plane. The moment my eyes land on her, the world stills. My lungs seize. I think. Driven by instinct, I leap out of the cockpit. My legs eat up the distance as I stride across the makeshift tarmac, my eyes never leaving her. I think. My heartbeat thunders erratically in my ears. She looks up at me, and I watch as her eyes widen and a shy smile spreads over her beautiful face. I don't think, I know. My wolf howls within me. Yes, I know. There's no denying it. She's my mate.
Chapter 3. I feel like a marshmallow ready for roasting, all bundled up in multiple layers of winter clothing. The pilot Tavion rushes over to greet me, and the first thing I notice is how stunningly handsome he is. My body responds to him as though I've never seen a man before. My nipples harden to tight peaks and an unexpected warmth blooms in my core. It's as if something deep within me recognizes him instantly. When his gaze locks with mine, time stands still. The world around us narrows and we're suspended, just the two of us, in this supercharged moment. This reaction is unexpected. And rather inconvenient. Back in Mystic Hollow, I'm no stranger to attention. Being the only unmated adult female in a town filled with single men has certainly been an experience. Especially since I've never been the type of girl that guys drooled over. A little too chubby, not conventionally beautiful, and definitely not a head-turner. At first, it was flattering and fun, all the guys vying for my attention. But it quickly grew tiresome. I figured my best bet was to narrow down my prospects. Date one guy exclusively. But trying to choose just one from the many proved too challenging. In all honesty, no one stood out as someone I particularly wanted to spend alone time with, if you know what I mean. So I am frankly astonished that my stomach is filled with butterflies, and my heart is doing somersaults over the man standing in front of me. A virtual stranger. Tavion. Tavion the wolf shifter, I have to remember that. As I swallow the excess saliva in my mouth before I drool down my chin, he wordlessly and with no effort sweeps me off my feet and into his arms, carries me to the small aircraft and buckles me in securely. The whole time that charming smile of his keeps my pulse racing. I have to remind myself of the reality of our situation. The animosity between his wolf pack and the Bear Shifter clan in Mystic Hollow is well known. It's a complicated dynamic, one that I won't jeopardize my family and friends to become entangled in. That means that no matter how bowled over I am by the hot pilot next to me, in a few hours, once these presents are delivered and we're back in the mountains, I'll be saying goodbye to him for good. It's a pity, but as fabulous as Tavion is to look at, I know deep down that he's just not for me.
Chapter 4. Yumi. My mate's name is Yumi, and she's beautiful. Better than I could have imagined. Fate sure has a twisted sense of humor. A couple hours ago, I was grinching it up alone in my cabin, annoyed I didn't have a mate for the holidays. Now here I am transporting not only the most incredible woman I've ever met, but my fated mate, who just happens to live with a clan of bears that don't like our kind very much. Shut up, Wolf. Her living situation is going to change. Deke says that human women feel the mate bond, but sometimes it takes longer for them to surrender to it. Fine. I'll spring it on her slowly. Get to know her a little. Then, I'll tell her I want her to come live with me in Timbercrest Village and be my claimed mate. We'll have the best life together. Maybe even pups if we're blessed. I'll give her an hour. I know she'll agree. Yumi's fingers tremble as I hand her the communication headgear, and her wide eyes dart around the small plane's interior. She clutches the headset like a lifeline, apprehension clear on her features. Put it on, I tell her, gesturing to the gear. It will help us communicate over the noise of the engine. She follows my instruction, her movement hesitant. First time flying? I ask, trying to distract her from the nerves. She nods, eyes wide.
Is it that obvious?
Just a bit. Her eyes widen as we taxi down the runway, and as the small plane shudders and picks up speed, I can see her knuckles turn white where she grips the armrest. I give her a reassuring smile. Don't worry. I've been piloting since I could see over the controls. I know this plane like the back of my hand. We'll be in LA before you know it. As we ascend into the sky, Yumi's unease becomes even more evident. Her gaze flits between the controls and me, her breath shallow and quick. There's a turbulent storm of fear brewing within her. Nothing to worry about, I say, projecting an air of soothing calm. I'll protect you with my life. She flashes a small smile as though she thinks I'm joking. I'm not.
I've never been in an airplane before. I'm really nervous.
I nod. I get it. Flying can be intimidating, especially in a small plane like this. But I promise you, you're safe. Yumi's eyes are fixed on me, seeking reassurance.
You have a lot of experience as a pilot, right?
I take a deep breath, exuding confidence. Absolutely. I've been flying my entire adult life, and this little plane is in great shape. You're in good hands. Her white-knuckled grip loosens somewhat.
You're sure this is safe?
I wink at her. Absolutely, I say, attempting to keep my tone light as I distract her. You know, flying in small aircraft operated by skilled hands is statistically safer than driving a car. Yumi's eyes widen with interest, her curiosity momentarily overpowering her fear.
Really?
Damn, she's cute. The way she bites her lower lip, leaning toward me slightly. Everything about her draws me in. Her scent, her voice, the way her eyes crinkle at the edges when she laughs. I nod, keeping my voice steady. Yes? And I meticulously maintain my girl. She undergoes regular inspections, and safety protocols are followed rigorously. Plus, as a pilot, I've had extensive training and experience. I know Buttercup inside and out.
Buttercup?
She cocks a brow. That's my aircraft's name. You always have to give them a name for good luck. She considers that.
What about crashes? I've heard small planes are more likely to crash.
I take a deep breath, not wanting to sugarcoat the reality, but still wanting to reassure her. Small planes can indeed be involved in accidents, but the vast majority of these incidents are caused by human error, not mechanical failure. As long as the pilot is skilled and attentive, the chances of a crash are extremely low. I've been flying for years without any accidents. Yumi seems to relax a bit more.
Okay. That's good.
I offer her an encouraging smile. I promise to do everything in my power to ensure your safety. No sooner are the words out of my mouth than the universe laughs at me. Heartily. The plane is rocked by a sudden jolt, and then there's a deafening bang. In a split second, the propeller seizes up and the engine cuts out. Alarm shoots through my veins as I realize what just happened. A bird strike. My hands and feet take over automatically, starting the emergency landing protocol I've practiced 100 times. Never with a passenger, though. Never with my mate's life hanging in the balance.
What was that?
Yumi sounds as though she's in full-on panic mode.
What was that noise?
Project Calm, I order myself. Keep it together for her sake. It's going to be okay, Yumi, I say in as soothing a voice as I can muster. Just stay buckled in. I'm going to land the plane. And I'll get us down safely. Please let that be a promise I can keep. With my mate's safety hanging in the balance, I scan the snowy landscape below, searching for somewhere clear of trees to put Buttercup down. I spot a relatively flat snowfield halfway down the slope. Not ideal, but it'll have to do. Fortunately, the snowbanks will provide some cushion for us. Yumi's fear is palpable as I guide the plane into a glide, aiming for the landing spot. Trees and boulders rush past in a blur. The wind buffets the wings as we descend far more rapidly than I'd like. Yumi is silent, her eyes shut. I reach over to give her hand a quick, reassuring squeeze. Almost there. I've got you. Please let that be true. The ground rushes up to meet us. I pull up hard on the yoke, bleeding off airspeed. And then I say the last words I ever thought I'd have to say to my mate. Brace for impact.
Chapter 5. The wheels hit with bone-jarring force and the plane slew sideways. Tavion fights to keep control as we skid through the powder. We must hit one of the jagged rocks, because I hear something tear as though the underside of the plane has just been ripped away. Then finally, we slide to a stop. Miraculously, we're both still in one piece. For a long moment, the only sound is our panicked breathing. Then Tavion turns.
Are you okay, Yumi?
He asks urgently.
Are you injured?
I exhale a shaky breath, then nod. I'm okay. Thanks to you. Today sure is a day of firsts. My first time seeing a snowstorm, my first plane ride, and my first plane crash.
There's nothing to be worried about. A shifter rescue team will come for us soon. But it could be a few hours.
Tavion unbuckles his seatbelt and takes my mittened hands in his.
I need you to stay here in the plane where you have shelter from the elements.
I sit up straighter, my panic returning. Where are you going?
I'm going to scout around and see if I can find us some temporary shelter, somewhere I can get a fire going. The temperature is going to drop as evening nears, and I want to keep you warm and dry until help arrives.
Before I can respond, he's shrugging out of his jacket and draping it around my shoulders. I clutch at the fleece, still in a bit of shock. Aren't you going to be cold out there? I ask worriedly. Tavion grins.
Shifter, remember? I'm going to ditch these clothes and fur up. We run hot, especially in beast form. I'll be fine.
He hops out of the plane and shuts the door. I quickly cover my eyes with my hands as he starts undressing, and a fierce blush stains my cheeks. I know I should give him privacy, but damn my curiosity. I peek over my mittens as he strips down. Holy mother of abs and giant penises. I nearly choke at the sight of all that hot mail. Acres of hard muscle. Sculpted pecs, ripped abs, every inch of him is toned and tapered. The man's built like an anatomy chart, all sharp lines and cut definition. And his dick. Even flaccid, it's long and thick as it lays against his muscular leg. I squeeze my thighs, my mouth going dry. Get it together, Yumi. Ogling your pilot right after a plane crash is probably frowned upon. But I'll be damned if Tavion isn't the most mouth-watering specimen of manhood I've ever laid eyes on. I have to bite my lip to hold in a whimper as my eyes scan strong thighs and calves that look like they're carved from granite. Danger, danger, clang, clang, clang. I quickly slap my hands over my eyes again, face still flaming. Listen to those warning bells, Yumi. Crushing on a wolf shifter will only lead to trouble. Yes, he's sexy as hell. And brave and kind and heroic. But it doesn't matter. We come from two different worlds. He and I can never work, even if my treacherous thoughts keep whispering things like, I wonder if his chest hair is as soft as it looks. The crisp air hits my overheated skin as Tavion opens the plane door to toss his clothes in.
I'll be back as soon as I find shelter,
he says, his voice conveying concern. I merely nod and squeeze my eyes shut until I hear the door click closed again. When I finally dare to look, the pilot seat is empty. I press my face to the window just in time to see a massive wolf bound over the snowy landscape. My heart skips a beat. He is magnificent, even on four legs. His fur is the same rich russet as his hair, and he moves with such grace and power. A pang of longing pierces me as I watch him disappear into the trees. I scold myself yet again. Tavion is off limits. Repeat after me, off limits, off limits, off limits. But my heart isn't listening. It's too busy fluttering every time I recall the warmth of his smile, his strong arms cradling me as he carried me to the plane. The soul-deep concern in his eyes as he asked if I was injured. The thought of never seeing him again after we're rescued feels unbearable. Like the sun being snuffed out. I need to shed these emotions. They will only lead to a broken heart when we have to say goodbye. I release a long exhale. And then another. The adrenaline of the crash is wearing off, leaving me drained. My thoughts slow and blur as exhaustion crashes over me. Tavion's jacket is so big and cozy, like being wrapped in a warm fuzzy blanket. I can't help it, I lean back and close my eyes. Just going to rest for a minute. Once Tavion gets back, I'm sure he'll have a plan too. It's actually quite peaceful here, floating above the pristine white valley. I'm somewhere between consciousness and dreams when the sharp bite of fear snaps me awake again. What the? I blink in confusion. What the hell am I doing relaxing? We just got in a plane crash. What if we're never rescued? What if we stay out here for weeks or months or permanently? What if we die of frostbite? Where is Tavion? Why isn't he back yet? It's been a really long time, hasn't it? What if a mountain lion got him? Or a bear? Or a wild boar? Do wild boar roam the California mountains? It's then that I noticed, to my horror, it started snowing. Heavily. Oh God. I'm gonna die out here. Maybe alone. My breathing starts to quicken and become erratic. My throat constricts. I feel as if I'm choking. I'm hyperventilating. I fumble for the door handle. Next thing I know, I'm outside the plane lying in snow. When did that happen? Ice crystals sting my cheeks. With a gasp, I jerk upright, hugging Tavion's jacket around my own. The pines are still, silent and frosted, like confections as the snow continues to fall steadily. I trudge through the deep drifts. There's no sign of Tavion, neither man nor wolf. I walk until I begin to stagger, my frozen legs unwilling to cooperate. The cold is so intense it burns. My entire body is shaking, my lungs aching with each icy breath. I've never felt anything like this deep bone-numbing chill. Tavion? I call for the 20th time through my chattering teeth, squinting into the endless whiteness. But he doesn't appear. What do I do now? Think, Yumi, think. I need to get warm. Back inside the plane. Yeah, that's what I should do. Get back in the plane. I turn toward the battered Cessna, which should be only a few yards away. But I don't see it. The snowfall is thick. I may have gotten turned around. Moving through the dense snow is torture, and my clumsy steps are painfully slow. I fight to keep putting one foot in front of the other, although I'm not really sure where I'm going. I think I see a rock face not too far away. That's where I'm heading. Keep going. Just keep going. Then my stiff legs betray me, buckling without warning, and I collapse face first into the snow, too weak and numb to catch myself. For long seconds, I can't seem to make my muscles work enough to stand back up. The icy whiteness wraps around me, suffocating and merciless. This is bad. I know I need to get up, but my exhausted body refuses to obey. Maybe I'll just close my eyes for 1 minute to gather my strength. My ice-crusted lashes are so heavy. It wouldn't hurt to rest my eyes for a moment. I just need to catch my breath. Tavion, please be okay out there, wherever you are. That's my last thought before I'm finally dragged down into the black void of sleep. Chapter 6. The heavenly scent of something absolutely scrumptious slowly draws me from sleep. Yum, what is that mouth-watering aroma? It's like fresh pine, sugar crystals, and newly fallen snow. Whatever it is, it's giving me tingles deep in my belly. I adjust my position, bathing in the warmth surrounding me. When did my bed get so cozy? This is the best sleep I've had in ages. I feel safe. Like I'm cocooned in a protective bubble nothing can pierce. A large hand strokes my hair and I instinctively nuzzle into it, chasing the comfort.
That's it, sweetheart. Come back to me.
A familiar voice murmurs. There's a solid weight pressed all along my front. Velvety skin against mine. I freeze. Wait a second, I'm naked. In bed with someone else. Who is also naked, if the very prominent steel rod nudging my thigh is any indication. My eyes fly open to find Tavion gazing down at me, relief and suppressed longing etched on his handsome face. Oh God, we didn't. Did we?
Thank God you're awake.
He says hoarsely.
I was so worried when I couldn't rouse you. Are you all right?
Yeah. I think so. I clutch the blanket higher, acutely aware of my bare breasts grazing his chest. A blush scorches my cheeks. Did we, hook up? Tavion's eyes widen.
No. I would never take advantage of you like that.
I exhale in relief. But that still doesn't explain why we're snuggling bare-ass naked. I bite my lip, afraid to ask for details. Tavion's expression turns solemn.
What do you remember?
I cast my mind back through the foggy remnants of panic and cold. I was waiting in the plane and got scared. I went looking for you even though I knew I shouldn't. Then I passed out in the snow. Tavion's jaw clenches, self-recrimination in his eyes.
I'm so sorry, Yumi. I never should have left you alone that long. When I found you, you were nearly hypothermic. I had to get you warm immediately.
Understanding clicks into place. Body heat. That's why I gesture between us. He nods, throat working.
It was the fastest way. I tried to be respectful, but your clothes were soaked. Please believe me, I didn't take any liberties.
Of course I believe you. I'm a little ashamed I even questioned him. Tavion has been nothing but kind and honorable. A warmth stirs in my belly as I become hyper-aware of every inch of hard muscle currently pressed to my much softer curves. I peer over his shoulder, just now noticing our surroundings. We're in a cave. Smoke from a crackling fire surrounded by a ring of stones exits a small opening. Tavion must have carried me through the snow and set this all up. My libido whets its own appetite picturing Tavion's nude form gilded in firelight as he undresses me. Down, girl, I scold myself, dragging my thoughts away from how appealing it would be to lick the sheen of sweat from his washboard abs. Probably not appropriate when we're trapped in an icy hellscape.
You must be starving.
Tavion says, misinterpreting my distraction.
Let me grab you some food. It's not the most appetizing, but I have some MREs in my emergency kit.
He starts to pull away and panic seizes me. Wait. I clutch at him without thinking. His eyes widen in surprise, and I feel the rigid length of his erection swell further against my thigh. We both freeze, the temperature in the small space suddenly spiking about 100 degrees. Sorry, I stammer, snatching my hands back. Please don't leave yet. I'm still so cold. It's not a total lie. My nose is a little cool and maybe the tips of my ears slightly. His eyes soften.
Of course.
He wraps both arms around me again, and I sigh, feeling the length of his big body deliciously hot all along mine. I tell my nether regions to calm the hell down, but they refuse to obey, hypersensitive to his every small movement and twitch of his muscles. Get it together, Yumi. I scold myself yet again. So what if he's an absolute specimen of masculine beauty? A caring, brave, sexy as hell man. It changes nothing. Soon we'll be rescued. We will. I have to believe that. And when we are, we'll go back to our separate worlds, our separate lives. But a rebellious little voice pipes up. Right now, there's no one here but us. We might never see each other again. And we're both consenting adults. Once we're saved, the magic of this little bubble we found ourselves in will burst. But in this extreme situation, the rules are different, right? Out here, we're just two souls connecting in the wilderness. Mind made up, I angle my hips, brushing his erection in a way that could seem accidental. The low groan he makes in response is anything but. His eyes blaze down at me, desire and hesitation warring in their depths.
Yumi.
He rasps in warning. Heart pounding, I tip my face up until our mouths are a breath apart and we're sharing the same heated air. You said body heat is good for hypothermia, right? A growl rumbles through his chest. Then warm me up, Wolfman.
Woman, you're playing with fire.
But his big hand grasps my hip, pulling me tighter to him. Our mouths crash together and rational thought flees. He kisses me ravenously like a starving man at a feast, his tongue tangling with mine. I answer just as voraciously, months of suppressed desire boiling over. Finally, I get to touch all that perfect caramel skin, tracing the cuts of muscle and sinew. My nails leave red trails across his shoulders that have him grinding his hips.
Fuck, Yumi.
He groans into my mouth. I echo the sentiment as he palms my breast, calluses abrading the sensitive tip in the most delicious way. My back arches, begging for more. He breaks the kiss to latch onto my neck, licking and nibbling his way down to my nipple. The combination of tender and rough makes my head spin, and I beg shamelessly for more. I've never felt so beautiful or desired as I do beneath his heated gaze. Even with passion turned up to 11, his every touch conveys care and reverence, like I'm precious and cherished. And I want to make him feel good too. With a twist of my hips, I flip us over so I'm straddling his powerful thighs. His astonished laugh turns into a groan as I take his huge cock in hand, sliding my palm over the veiny shaft, exploring his rigid length.
Fuck, that feels good.
He grits out, his head falling back. Unable to resist, I lean down to press open mouth kisses on his lower abs as I stroke him. His big body shudders, muscles cording delightfully under my free hand. I could do this for hours, play his body like an instrument until we're both senseless with pleasure. But his strained,
"Fuck, Yumi.
reveals how close he already is to the edge.
Come here."
He rasps, reaching under my arms. Regretfully, I release him, stifling a giggle at his bereft sigh. Then I'm sinking down, taking him inside me in one long glide. We both moan at the perfect sensation of our joining. Amazing. He feels amazing. Braced on his chest, I move, relishing the slide of him inside me, the friction just this side of too intense. His hands grasp me tightly, his fingers digging into my hip bones, guiding me into a rhythm that has us both moaning and gasping for air. The firelight paints his skin copper, accentuating every cut and hollow of his form. He watches me through heavy lids, something far deeper than lust kindling in those eyes. It burns through all my barriers, leaving me raw and vulnerable. With our gazes locked, our bodies unite again and again. Something is going on here. Something far beyond mere physical compatibility. This feels like puzzle pieces clicking into place. Like coming home. His touch brands my skin. His quiet grunts send shivers through me. The pleasure builds and builds until I'm shuddering apart in his arms, his hoarse cries and the feeling of him finding his own release inside me prolonging my climax. Afterward, I collapse against his heaving chest, utterly spent. He wraps both arms around me, pressing a kiss to my hair. His nose nuzzles against me and he laughs breathlessly into my skin.
"Sweetheart, that was..."
He trails off, at a loss for words. "Worth surviving a plane crash for?" I tease. He tips my chin up, his gaze scorching.
"Hell. Worth surviving 100 plane crashes." Chapter 7. I nuzzle into the sweet-smelling curve of Yumi's neck as our heart rates finally start to slow post-lovemaking. No words adequately describe what just happened between us. Life-changing. Soul-searing. More intimate than I ever dreamed possible.
It was incredible.
Yumi adds. I press a smiling kiss to her forehead. "Let's rest a bit," I say, still worried about her. She tilts her face up, mischief dancing in her eyes.
And here I thought shifters were supposed to have superior stamina. I'm not even winded.
"Oh, you are playing with fire, kitten," I growl playfully, nipping at her lips. "Just give me 5 minutes to recharge and I'll show you stamina." Her answering squeal dissolves into giggles as I roll us until I'm hovering above her. God, I never want this feeling to end. The joy of holding my mate in my arms, her skin still flushed from my lovemaking. Our scents mingle together in the most intoxicating way. I know I have to tell her. She deserves to understand why we have this incredible connection. "Yumi," I say more seriously, cupping her face in my palm. "What just happened between us? It's because you're mine. I mean, we're fated mates." Her brows furrow adorably.
Fated mates.
It's a shifter thing. We each have one perfect partner out there who calls to us on a primal level. Our other half. Like the missing piece of our soul. I press a reverent kiss to her wrist. That's what you are to me. What we are to each other.
I know what fated mates are,
She says softly, eyes wide.
My sister is mated to a bear shifter.
We gaze at each other as the revelation sinks in. She lays a gentle hand on my cheek.
My wolfman.
She says the words so quietly that if not for my shifter hearing, I would have missed them. My heart damn near bursts with happiness. Without thinking, I blurt out, "Will you wear my claiming mark?" Yumi stiffens. It's as though shutters come down over her eyes, and I curse internally. Too fast, idiot. I wish I could take the words back, but they're already out there floating in the air, wreaking who knows what havoc. It doesn't have to be right away, I amend. I mean eventually. Whenever you're ready.
Tavion,
She says carefully.
you know I find you attractive. I wouldn't have done that with you otherwise.
Find me attractive? I swallow hard. Ouch.
I mean, I care about you.
Why does this feel like a brush off? She sighs and slaps a palm to her forehead.
I'm saying this all wrong.
Her voice is high-pitched and her expression is agonized. My gut twisting, I roll off of her. It's hard to see her like this, so I say, just be honest. Just tell me what you're feeling. I want to make her feel better, even if it will hurt like hell to hear whatever is going on inside her. I'll do anything to get her to lose that agonized expression. It's okay. Whatever you're going to tell me, it's okay. She takes a deep breath and I brace myself.
It's not that I don't want, to be with you.
She explains haltingly.
But you have your life in Timbercrest and I have mine in Mystic Hollow. Even if I did wear your claiming mark, my people would never.
But you could move to Timbercrest Village. Her brow furrows and I can see she doesn't like that solution. Or I could move to Mystic Hollow. She just cocks a brow and I sigh. She doesn't have to respond to that. I know what she's thinking. My kind aren't welcome in Mystic Hollow. We never have been, but tensions grew even higher after Marla was kidnapped. The Shifter Council stepped in, which is probably the only reason we avoided an all-out war between the Wolfpack and Bear Clan, but I know the animosity is rampant. I'd be an outcast, which I can live with for my mate, but that might transfer to her. Would Yumi be shunned for mating a wolf? My pack would welcome you as my mate if you came to Timbercrest to live with me. Judging from her expression, it doesn't seem as though she's at all open to that. I press my lips together hard to keep from begging. I want to howl my frustration at the universe. But I promised her she could tell me anything, and I meant it.
I could never leave my sister.
Yumi touches my tense shoulder, eyes awash with sorrow.
I'm so sorry, Tavion. You know, if things were different.
I trap her hand against my chest, clinging to this fragile connection. I understand, I say roughly. Although I don't understand. We lay there in strained silence until I change the subject. Tell me about the gifts. Who are they for and why are they so important to you? Yumi's voice fills with passion as she tells me all about the Holiday Hope charity she's organized and run each Christmas for the past 5 years.
It provides gifts for the kids at the Hope House, a residential children's group home run by Hope Foundation. The children there have been through so much. Abandonment, neglect, domestic violence, homelessness, abuse. Then they watch as the world around them rejoices in the season. They watch as other people share happiness and joy with family and friends. They watch as though they're on the outside looking in. I fulfill their wish lists and buy gifts specific to each child. Specially chosen. A handful of Christmas gifts can't solve all the issues heaped on their young shoulders, I know that. I just want to give them one special day. Just one day. That's carefree and joyful where they can feel a part of something special and magical.
Her eyes mist and I'm hit with a realization. It sounds as though you're speaking from experience. She smiles softly.
I know what it's like, not having anything under the tree. Growing up in foster care, Kiko and I never knew if we'd get gifts. And oftentimes we didn't. Some families tried, but...
She trails off, but I can guess at what's left unspoken. The loneliness and sense of unworthiness she must have felt as a child. I take her hand, offering silent support as she continues.
The worst was watching our foster parents buy piles of presents for their real kids while we got nothing, or thoughtless trinkets. I swore if I ever got the chance, I'd make sure other children weren't forgotten at Christmas.
She turns to me, her eyes bright.
And I got the chance. I've been doing this for 5 years now.
There's so much quiet strength in Yumi, compassion forged from her own difficult past. I'm in awe of her. What you're doing for those kids is amazing, I say sincerely. You're amazing. She ducks her head, cheeks turning pink at the praise. Then her smile fades.
I just wish this blizzard hadn't wrecked everything. Those kids are depending on me.
She sighs and a tear slides down her cheek that shatters my heart.
They've already dealt with so much disappointment. If I can't get the gifts to them.
You will, I promise, squeezing her hand. I understand now why this mission is so critical to her. It's about far more than just holiday presents. It's about keeping the childhood promise she made to herself. Your sister is very important to you. It's not a question. It makes sense now why she wouldn't want to leave her sister. After their lonely start in life, those sisters must have an unbreakable bond. I can see why Yumi won't leave Mystic Hollow and her twin behind. I can't ask her to choose between me and the only family she's ever known. Hey, I tip her chin up. We'll get you and those gifts back to LA. I swear it. I filed a flight plan and only veered slightly off course when we had to do an emergency landing, so as soon as the snow dies down and visibility gets better, I'm sure there'll be rescuers out looking for us. She smiles, and we're both thinking the same thing. Will it be too late? She doesn't say it though. Neither do I.
My wolfman,
She whispers, snuggling into my side. and my heart clenches as though it's being squeezed by a fist. I pull her close, letting my touch convey what words can't. She's been through tough times but somehow emerged with nothing but light and kindness to give. You're incredible, you know that? I rasp into her hair. She offers me a tremulous smile that radiates such beauty, I'm momentarily stunned. As she falls asleep curled against me, I keep watch over her, searing this vision of her into my soul. If I can keep her, I swear I'll spend my whole life striving to be a man who deserves her. How can the moon goddess finally give me a mate and then cruelly take her away? I can't let it happen. I won't. I refuse to lose her. I'm nearly drifting off too when something tugs at my senses. I lift my head, alertness thrumming through my system as I delicately, and somewhat reluctantly, extricate myself from my mate and slip outside.
Chapter 8. I wake to the murmur of voices outside the cave. Still groggy, I yawn and try to make out what Tavion's saying. Is he talking to himself? He must be. Who else could he possibly be chatting with out here in the middle of snowy nowhere? Unless, could it be a rescue team? A spark of hope flares in my chest. Unable to stand the suspense a moment longer, I jump up and scramble to pull on my clothes. I wrap the emergency blanket around my shoulders like a cape and duck through the cave opening. My eyes bug out at the sight that greets me. Tavion is standing shirtless, his breath fogging in the frigid air. He looks utterly unbothered by the cold. Meanwhile, my toes are already going numb inside my boots. But that's not what has my jaw dropping. I blink, rub my eyes, and blink again, but the sight before me is the same. Tavion is having an apparent chat with some random naked dude, as though they're discussing the state of the economy over a morning coffee. By naked, I mean butt naked. Like just letting it all hang out. This stranger's good looking too. Still, he's got nothing on my wolfman. When I realize I'm sizing up the naked guy, I jerk my gaze away and swallow hard, blushing to my roots. Still, what the heck is going on here? I'm about to ask Tavion for an explanation when the naked guy unexpectedly shifts into a mother-freaking dragon right before my eyes. I'm talking a 50-foot scaly leather-winged beast with spikes all over. Now I really have to pinch myself to make sure I'm not dreaming. The creature's wings stretch wide, and with a powerful downward thrust, he takes to the skies, scattering a burst of powdery snow into the air with one flap of his enormous wings. I stand there gaping as my groggy mind tries to process what I just witnessed. So, I turn to Tavion, still stunned. I take it that was a dragon shifter? Tavion grins, clearly amused by my befuddlement.
I told you help would come. That was Councilman Aldous von Drago. He's a corporate bigwig in L.A.
Tavion steps closer and wraps an arm around me, radiating blessed warmth that seeps through the blanket into my skin, chasing away the lingering chill.
As soon as the snow died down, the dragons took to the skies looking for us. He's returning with one of his corporate helicopters to get us out of here.
I lean into Tavion gratefully, my nerves settling in the security of his embrace. So, we might actually make it to Hope House with the gifts in time for Christmas morning?
It's still Christmas Eve, so we should arrive just in the Saint Nick of time.
Tavion assures me, his eyes crinkling at the corners as he tosses out the corny joke. God, he's cute. Funny. I tamp down the flutter in my chest and exhale in relief. Sure enough, a few hours later, I'm climbing into Councilman von Drago's fancy private helicopter. The sun set hours ago, and the temperature dropped along with it, so Tavion insisted I sit inside while he and the councilman load the presents in. The helicopter's interior looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie with its plush leather seats and gleaming metal finishes. As we lift off, Aldous is seated in front next to the pilot. Tavion and I are in the rear. I spend most of the short flight feeling grateful we were rescued and reminding myself not to take even the simplest things for granted anymore. You know, like running water and central heating. When we finally touch down on the roof of the high-rise building that houses the group home, it's pretty late. Tavion and I take the parking garage elevator down to the ground floor and have to go around to the front of the building to buzz the administrator. The director of the home, Carmen Boaz, answers the door in her robe and slippers, looking slightly frazzled, her dark hair mussed from sleep. The moment her eyes land on me, a look of relief crosses her features and her eyes light up.
Yumi. You made it.
Her hand flies to her chest.
Oh, thank God. I'd almost given up hope you were coming. I didn't know what I was going to do. There's just no room in the budget for... Well, none of that matters since you're here now.
I know it's late, I explain in a rush. A quick glance at the hall clock tells me it's nearly 1 in the morning. I'm sorry. Carmen shakes her head and waves her hand in the air.
The children will be thrilled when they wake up. Thank you, Yumi. You and I both know how much this means to them.
Chapter 9. While Carmen and Yumi stand on the rooftop watching, Aldous and I quickly unload the gifts from the helicopter so he can get on his way. Something weird's going on. When Carmen's gaze shifts to Aldous, I swear I see sparks of desire there, but she looks away quickly. And when Aldous glances at her, there's definitely heat in his eyes. Neither acknowledges it, though. Carmen yawns and Yumi, ever the caretaker, insists she go back to bed.
We can handle getting the gifts downstairs and under the tree.
Yumi's voice is gentle but insistent.
Are you sure?
Carmen asks.
I feel bad making you do more work after everything.
Positive.
Yumi insists.
Go to bed. We've got this covered.
Carmen yawns again, louder this time.
You're both welcome to stay the night if you'd like. I'm sure the kids would love for you to be here when they open their gifts in the morning. And you might like it too.
Yumi's eyes light up at the suggestion. I can tell she'd love nothing more than to see the children's reactions. Carmen shrugs apologetically.
I'm afraid I can't offer you the Ritz. But I've got a couple spare bedrolls if you don't mind bunking in the common room. And I can promise a hot breakfast in the morning.
Yumi looks at me, her eyes questioning as though I'd really say no. She doesn't realize yet that I'll give her anything she wants. Besides, I'm certainly in no rush to get home. Yes? Of course we'll stay, I answer Carmen, although my eyes never leave Yumi. We'd be happy to. Carmen's face splits into a grin. I know Von Drago overhears the conversation because as soon as the gifts are in a heap on the rooftop, he climbs into the bird, and he and his pilot lift off into the night sky without so much as a goodbye. Von Drago can be a prick sometimes.
Thank you,
Carmen murmurs before shuffling off and disappearing. Yumi and I carry a few gifts down to the common room and find a tree that is modest but well-loved. Its branches sag under the weight of loads of handcrafted ornaments clearly made by children's hands. As Yumi gets to work artistically arranging the gifts under the tree, each one wrapped in bright, festive holiday paper with lots of ribbons and bows, I head back upstairs for the rest. It hardly seems real that less than 24 hours ago I was doing my best Ebenezer Scrooge impersonation, bitter and lonely and only concerned for myself. Then Yumi came into my life like a whirlwind, changing everything about me at a fundamental level. I can't claim credit for any of it. It's all her. I'm truly in awe of my mate's fierce determination and kind heart.
Chapter 10. Kneeling by the Christmas tree, I carefully arrange the gifts as Tavion goes back to the roof for another armload. I chuckle to myself as I mentally compare us to Santa's helpers, scrambling across the moonlit rooftop with our delivery.
Who are you?
I freeze at the small voice coming from behind me. Slowly I turn to see a little dark-haired girl in footy pajamas clutching a stuffed rabbit to her chest. She can't be more than 4 or 5. Well, hello there, I say gently. Shouldn't you be in bed? The girl just stares at me, so I try again. What's your name? She sizes me up for a moment before she says,
I'm Emma. I wanted to see Santa Claus.
I freeze, unsure what to say.
Who are you?
The girl asks again, eyes narrowing in suspicion. My mouth opens and closes, but no words emerge. Fortunately, I'm saved when Tavion's voice booms out.
She's my special helper.
I look over my shoulder to see Tavion saunter into the room wearing a too small Santa suit, the pants riding halfway up his calves. Where did he even find that?
Ho ho ho,
he says. I have to stifle a laugh at his ridiculously crooked fake white beard. The little girl's eyes go wide.
Santa. You're really here.
Tavion kneels down to her level.
Of course, Emma. Did you think I'd forget about you? You're one of my most favorite little girls.
Emma beams. Watching Tavion interact with her just might make my ovaries explode. He's so gentle and playful.
You've been a very good girl this year, haven't you?
He asks. She nods emphatically. Tavion winks.
That means one of these gifts has your name on it. But only if you hurry off to bed.
Emma nods excitedly before scampering off down the hall, and Tavion straightens with a groan, tugging at the too tight Santa pants. I can't help it. I stride across the room, stand on my tiptoes, and plant a big kiss on his lips. Santa, you're the best. The absolute best. He chuckles.
What can I say? You bring out my festive side. But I need to get this costume off before I bust the seams.
I follow him to the supply closet where he found the suit and quickly donned it when he saw little Emma roaming the hall. Here, let me help you with that. I back him into the closet, sliding my hands under the velvet jacket. He wriggles his shoulders and it falls to the floor with a thump. The pants too, I say, toying with the waistband. In one smooth motion, Tavion lifts me up onto a supply shelf and his mouth crashes down on mine hungrily. My fingers dive into his hair as desire for this man courses through me. Fated mates. It explains why he stokes a fire in me no other man ever has. Soon the rest of the costume is discarded and we're lost in each other, sheltered in this little closet. Tavion's hands and lips roam my body greedily. I meet his passion measure for measure, caught up in the frantic need for him. Tavion lifts my shirt and pulls down my bra to bare my breasts. His mouth descends hot and hungry, sucking a nipple between his lips. I cry out at the exquisite mix of pleasure and pain as he sucks hard before using his tongue to soothe. My hands fumble with his belt until his pants and boxers are shoved down, freeing his thick, rigid cock. I wrap my fingers around the hot steel of him, relishing his moan. I want you so bad, I gasp. Tavion growls against my skin, hiking me up so he can quickly strip me of my pants and panties before setting me back down. With our heights perfectly aligned thanks to the supply shelf I'm perched on, he drives into me in one powerful thrust. We both moan at the delicious connection as he fills me to the hilt. Bracing myself, I meet him thrust for thrust, our bodies slamming together frantically. The supply closet echoes with the wet sounds of our coupling and our muffled cries of pleasure. I clutch at his shoulders, mindless with need. The thick slide of him inside me has my inner muscles already clenching as my orgasm builds.
That's it, come for me.
Tavion rasps, redoubling his efforts until he's pounding into me. The frenzied rhythm of his cock driving into my slick heat sends me hurtling over the edge with a wail. My climax seems to trigger his. He slams home one final time, grinding against me as he finds his own shuddering release. We stay locked together, both gasping for breath. Tavion rests his forehead against mine.
Damn woman. What you do to me?
He murmurs with a chuckle. Slowly he withdraws from my throbbing center and tucks himself back into his pants. My legs wobble a bit as I slide off the shelf. I finger comb my mussed hair back into place as best I can. Tavion slides my bra back in place and then pulls down my shirt. His grin is endearing. He pulls me close and for a few moments we just hold each other.
We better finish up with the gifts and get a few hours of shut-eye.
He murmurs.
Wouldn't want to end up on Santa's naughty list.
I laugh softly. Totally worth it. Chapter 11. I'm jolted awake by excited shouts and squeals of glee. Bleary-eyed, I lift my head to see a stampede of pajama-clad kids thunder into the room and make a beeline for the Christmas tree.
Santa came. He really came.
This one has my name on it.
Santa Claus brought me a present.
Within seconds, the common room is a chaotic, festive pandemonium. The children tearing into the gifts with abandon. Tavion sits up beside me, hair rumpled and a huge grin on his unshaven face. I have to raise my voice to be heard over the din. Well, from the looks of it, Holiday Hope is a huge success.
I never had a single doubt.
Tavion says, peppering a quick kiss on my lips.
Should we get up and join the fun?
I grin and together we extricate ourselves from our bedrolls, immersed in the frenetic energy as we watch the children unwrap toys, games, art supplies, and more. One little boy tugs excitedly on Tavion's pant leg, brandishing a toy airplane.
Look, an airplane.
Tavion leans down with mock seriousness.
Yep. And I happen to know Santa has an airplane just like it.
He does.
The kid's eyes go wide as saucers.
Cool.
The happy chaos continues until Carmen emerges from the kitchen and announces breakfast is ready. This sparks a race to the dining hall. Many of the kids carry toys along with them to the table. Chuckling, I follow along to see what I can help with. The long tables are soon laden with pancakes, eggs, bacon, fruit, and more. Everyone digs in hungrily. Tavion is staring at me. Judging by the look on his face, you'd think I hung the moon and the stars. What? I ask.
You're incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I shrug and feel my face heat at the compliment. Carmen wasn't kidding about the hot breakfast, I say, changing the subject. Let's eat. Tavion kisses the top of my head tenderly before we fill our plates. Immersed in the children's joy, I smile so much at breakfast that my face hurts. Afterward, I'm still watching them intently as they play with new toys, pore over books, and show off new slippers and bathrobes. I ooh and ah over each gift they eagerly present to me, as though I've never seen them before. When the chaos dies down, I gather the mounds of strewn wrapping paper and tidy the room a bit. Tavion seems to have disappeared at some point. I find Carmen in the kitchen, finally relaxing as she sips coffee.
Yumi, you did a spectacular job. I can't thank you enough for.
Nope. I raise a hand, stopping her. No thanks necessary. It was as fun for me as it was for them. That's an understatement. Have you seen Tavion? Carmen chuckles.
I think he ducked into my office to make a phone call. Poor guy probably needed a moment of quiet.
I thank her and make my way down the hall to the office. The door is ajar, and I peer in to see Tavion sitting at the desk with his cell phone to his ear.
Yep, thanks, Deke.
He says into the phone. Deke's his alpha. He must be letting his pack know he's all right and will be home soon. Something clenches in my chest. Our magical interlude is ending, which means it's time for me to tell him the decision I've come to. Tavion notices me then and gestures for me to enter.
See you soon,
He says into the phone before he ends the call.
Yumi.
Tavion trails off, seeming to search for the right words.
About what happens when we get back.
My pulse quickens. It's now or never. Before we go there, Tavion, I have something for you. I take a steadying breath. I guess you could say it's a Christmas present. Tavion looks surprised but waits for me to continue. Slowly, I cross the space between us. His eyes track my every movement. Being this close makes my mouth dry, but I forge ahead. From the moment we met, I felt a connection between us. It was so strong that when you said we were fated mates, I wasn't even surprised. I bucked it, I admit. I press a hand to his chest, feeling his rapid heartbeat. But I realize now that was foolish and wrong. Tavion's eyes blaze, but he remains silent, letting me continue. What I'm trying to say is... I falter, pulse roaring in my ears. Get it together, Yumi. Say the words. I'm ready to wear your claiming mark, Tavion. If you still want me as your mate. For a breathless moment he simply stares, stunned. Then a smile spreads across his face, and he crushes me against him with a kiss so fierce my knees nearly buckle. When we finally break for air, he presses his forehead to mine.
Of course I still want you.
He says gruffly.
I'll never not want you. Never. But I don't want you to feel pressured into this because of me.
I don't, I insist. I'm choosing this. Choosing you. I've never been more certain of anything. Joy lights up his eyes, along with a hungry primal glow that sends a shiver down my spine. His wolf is close to the surface.
Chapter 12. Yumi's words hang in the air, heavy with meaning and promise. She wants to wear my claiming mark. My heart races with a mix of elation and a deep grounding sense of honor. What a privilege she's awarding me. But before I can fully embrace this moment, there's something I need to address. Yumi, I start, my voice tinged with a hint of regret. I wish I had time to get you a Christmas gift. I pause, searching her eyes. But I promise to make it up to you. Not only will I buy you loads of gifts all year long, but every Christmas from here on out, I'll make sure your presents are piled to the ceiling. I mean that. It may not make up for all the disappointing Christmases of her childhood, but it'll make me and my wolf feel better. She gives me a grateful smile, but I'm not done. The one thing I can give you, though, is myself. Totally and completely. I take a deep breath, steadying my racing heart. I want to claim you as my mate, Yumi, but more than that, I want you to be happy. I'll do anything to make you happy. I can see the curiosity in her eyes, and I plow ahead. I've informed Deke, my alpha, that I'm leaving the pack. I'm going to live in Mystic Hollow. The shock on Yumi's face is palpable. For a moment she's speechless, and my heart pounds in my chest, each beat a thunderous echo in the silence.
No,
she finally says, and that single word feels like a punch to the gut. No. I echo, my voice barely above a whisper. No to what part? My mind races. It's a done deal, Yumi. I've spoken to Deke. He understands being newly mated himself. I try to reassure her, but the sinking feeling in my chest only grows.
No,
Yumi's next words hit me like a second wave.
I don't want you to go to Mystic Hollow with me.
My heart sinks further, a lead weight dropping to my toes. Then she continues, her voice soft yet firm.
I don't want you to have to leave your pack behind, Tavion. I've decided to move to Timbercrest Village with you.
She pauses, and I'm not sure, but I think I detect a hint of sadness in her eyes.
It means I won't see Kiko every day, but we can talk on the phone.
Her words, so full of sacrifice and love, touch me deeply. The thought of her giving up being near her sister for me twists something inside. I can't allow it. Yumi, I say, my voice thick with emotion. But before I can tell her I refuse to let her sacrifice her friends and family for me, there's a sharp knock and the door opens. Carmen pokes her head in.
There's a helicopter on the roof. I assume it's your ride.
Chapter 13. I watch as Aldous, the pilot, and Tavion exchange words. I can't hear everything they're saying over the whirring of the helicopter rotor until their voices rise slightly. Tavion insists we head to Mystic Hollow, but Aldous is firm.
I received strict orders from your Alpha to go straight to Timbercrest Village.
He says, his tone brooking no argument. I'm certainly not arguing. I didn't get the chance to explain to Tavion, but I don't want him to have to leave his pack. I know he will for me, but I also know wolves need their packmates to stay level. I'm moving to Timbercrest. I intend to convince him it's what I want as soon as it's a little quieter and we're alone. The ride to Timbercrest is short. As we debark the helicopter, my boots crunch in the snow. Tavion is right beside me, his presence a constant warmth. As soon as the chopper lifts off again and the noise and wind die down, Tavion looks at me with intense determination in his eyes.
Don't worry, Yumi. I'll make sure we get to Mystic Hollow. The pack has snowmobiles.
No. I cut him off. I meant it when I said I'd like to stay here with you. Tavion looks as though he's about to protest, and my heart melts that he'd put my happiness and contentment above his own. But there's no need. For so long when I thought of home, I thought of Kiko, my sister. No place was home without her. Now I can't stomach the thought of being away from Tavion. My mate. I realize Kiko must feel the same about Lake. I open my mouth to tell him, to say what I've wanted to explain to him ever since our conversation in Carmen's office. Before I can get the words out, something catches my eye, pulling my focus away. My jaw falls open in disbelief. Is that a? I'm pretty sure it's a. My forehead creases as I try to digest the scene. Then a familiar laugh cuts through my confusion, followed by a voice I know and love.
Yumi?
My sister shouts. Yes, Kiko, all bundled up in winter clothing, squeals and runs toward me, her arms open wide. Her mate Lake follows.
Thank God you're back. We were all so worried about you two.
Stunned, I can do nothing but stand in shock as she hugs me. Kiko, what are you doing here? What's going on? My voice is muffled as Kiko tries to smother me with her thick winter coat.
Tavion.
A huge man wearing a wide grin strides through a crowd of villagers.
Welcome back.
He calls out.
Alpha.
Tavion mumbles, clearly as baffled as I am. Kiko and Lake aren't the only townsfolk from Mystic Hollow here. As my eyes scan the village square, I spot several people I know. A cluster of both wolf and bear shifters are taking turns sledding down a small hill, their joyous shouts piercing the crisp air. Nearby, some people are building snowmen, their breaths visible in the cold air as they work together, laughing and joking. The air is filled with laughter and the scent of chocolate, peppermint, and sugar cookies. I watch mesmerized as a man I assume is a wolf shifter, since I've never seen him before and I know everyone in Mystic Hollow, hands a steaming mug of something, cocoa maybe, to Otto, a bear shifter. What's Otto doing here? I see smiles and genuine warmth. No one seems to be fighting or even arguing. What happened to the long-standing animosity between the wolf pack and the bear clan? As if reading my mind, Kiko explains,
We were all so worried about you when Carmen called me and said you hadn't arrived in LA with the gifts. Silas and Deke held a meeting.
Deke nods.
The first face-to-face between alphas in decades.
A few of us insisted we come with Silas to discuss what was being done as far as search and rescue operations.
Kiko shrugs.
And well, The wolf shifters showed us so much hospitality, we decided to stay until you both returned. At their urging.
Deke explains.
When Silas and I realized that neither of us was even sure why Pack and Clan were feuding in the first place, we figured it was about time we put aside the ill will. The Pack officially invited all bear shifters to spend Christmas here with us.
And the Mystic Hollow clan will be hosting the Timbercrest Pack next Christmas.
Silas says as he and Kate approach us.
Welcome back, you two. You gave us quite a scare.
I'm speechless. Overwhelmed. Tavion is too, but he gains his composure before I do and speaks for both of us.
We're glad to be back. We'll tell you all about our harrowing Christmas adventure later around the bonfire. Right now, can Yumi and I have a minute alone before we join you?
Kiko's eyes widen. She looks from me to Tavion and back to me. When understanding dawns, her smile grows even wider and her eyes fill with tears. She knows. Kiko nods and grabs Lake's arm, hurriedly dragging him away. Tavion, I whisper, leaning into him. Look at this. Just look. All around us are signs of friendship between previous enemies. Wolves and bears chat amiably. Children play together. A massive Christmas tree glitters nearby.
I see it, Yumi. It's incredible.
I meant what I said about wanting to live here with you in Timbercrest, even when it seemed more of a sacrifice.
I know you did.
Tavion wraps his arms around me, pulling me close, and kisses the top of my head. I love when he does that.
I meant it too when I said I'd gladly join you in Mystic Hollow. But we don't have to iron out the details today. It's Christmas Day. Let's go be merry.
Tavion guides me gently toward the bonfire where we find a cozy spot to sit. The fire crackles and someone hands me a plate of gingerbread cookies. Tavion keeps me pressed to his side. I look up at Tavion, his eyes reflecting the fire's glow. Today's a beginning, isn't it? I ask, my voice filled with wonder.
Not just for them, but for us,
he says.
And I have just the thing to kick it off with fireworks.
He reaches into his pocket and pulls out something small and green. It's not until he holds it over my head that I realize it's a sprig of mistletoe. Where'd you get that? He doesn't bother verbalizing a reply, and I'm fine with that since he uses his lips to respond instead. As Tavion and I kiss surrounded by family and friends, two things are crystal clear. 1, this man is my future. 2, this is the best Christmas ever. Epilogue. 4 months later. Another gift. A huge smile stretches my lips as I accept the wrapped box. What's the occasion?
Do I need an occasion to shower my mate with presents?
I laugh. I suppose not. The man really does shower me with gifts, that's no exaggeration.
It's a claiming mark gift.
Tavion bends down and kisses my neck over the now healed and scarred over mark. I'd have thought the claiming mark was gift enough, I tease. I've been showing it off to all the ladies here in Timbercrest for months. Showing off claiming marks is a thing here like showing off engagement rings in the human world. I carefully unwrap the box to reveal a delicate gold bracelet with a charm in the shape of a wolf. It's beautiful, I breathe. Tavion fastens it around my wrist.
Now everyone will know you're mine.
This really makes me laugh. Everyone already knows because you say it constantly.
And I'm not gonna stop either,
he says challengingly. I throw my arms around him. I love you. After a heated kiss, Tavion takes my hand.
That's not the only surprise. Come with me.
We head out to the airstrip, and I have a feeling that his new plane has finally arrived. Buttercup was damaged beyond repair. He leads me into his airplane hangar, and sure enough, an airplane is draped in a tarp. Is this the new Buttercup? I ask. Tavion chuckles.
In a manner of speaking. But I retired that name in favor of a better one.
He pulls off the tarp with a flourish, and I stare at what's underneath. My eyes flood with happy tears when I see the name painted on the side in scrolling script. Yumi's Chariot.
Care to join me for an inaugural flight?
I'd love nothing more. He lifts me into the cockpit, and again I burst into giggles. This man always makes me laugh. There's a sprig of mistletoe hanging over my seat. No one else better sit here, I joke.
Never. It's reserved only for you, my co-pilot.
There's no doubt in my mind that whatever adventures life takes us on, we'll be flying high together. Kiss me. My wolf man.
We hope you have enjoyed this computer-generated audio production of Wolf's Christmas by Candace Ayers and Kim Dillon.
To ensure these authors are able to bring you more free content, please support them by subscribing to this channel.
The first book in the next series is Dragons Forever.